Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so ninth chapter is about Rajavidya, Rajaguhyam, right? So why do you think it's called Rajavidya, Rajaguhyam? Why is it called the king of knowledge and king of secrets? Yes?
It's the king of knowledge, Mataji. The most confidential knowledge.
Yes, the most confidential. Why? Why do you think it's most confidential?
It speaks about what happens to soul after it leaves the body, Mataji.
No, this is okay. After it leaves the body, that means yes.
Yeah.
So after the something called liberation, okay, about devotional service. And okay, so what about others? Why do you think it's the most?
Krishna explains about his glories and his opulences in detail in this, and how he is prevalent in the entire universe.
Krishna
explains his opulences and how he is present universally in this material world, how he can be felt and known.
Krishna himself told.
Yeah, Krishna himself told this. Very
Topmost
nice.
knowledge, nothing, no knowledge is about it.
Yes, very good. Yes. And so Rajavidya, Rajaguhyam. And who will you share your secrets with?
Most confidential friend.
Yeah.
One
so
who is not envious and is friendly.
Not envious.
Not envious.
Yeah.
Yes, Arjuna is never envious of Krishna and he has a soft heart and he is a friend and devotee, right? Bhaktosi Sakhacheti, it is said. His friend and the devotee of Krishna. So most confidential knowledge. Okay. So first 3 slokas is about hearing the most confidential knowledge about Krishna. 4 to 10 is about the Aishwarya Jnana, Krishna's relationship with this world. So let's see from verse number 1. Okay, so Krishna glorifies the knowledge he's about to reveal. So he's going to say about the glories of that knowledge. Okay, so in the 9th chapter starts like that. There's so many slokas to memorize. Can somebody put in the chat, Sridevi Mataji, what are the slokas to be memorized from this chapter?
Yes,
so that devotees can start.
Yes.
Very important chapter on the preaching point of view, also very important. And yeah, put in the chat. You can write, put a chat to Sridevi Mataji. She will put. Okay, the first sloka says, Shri Bhagavanu Vacha, Idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshyami anusuyave jnanam vijnana sahidam yatnyatva mokshase ashupat. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence. Right? Jnanam vijnanam. Okay. So jnanam is knowledge, vijnanam means realization. So he is going to say this to Arjuna. Why? Anasuyave. Arjuna was not envious of Krishna. He was not selfish. He didn't see any fault in Krishna. Thus, he could understand Krishna. So envious and selfish people cannot understand Krishna, right? Or the knowledge of his devotional service. So the most important qualification is Anasuyave. That means he was never envious of Krishna, right? So that's the most important qualification required to understand Krishna, that Arjuna was not envious of Krishna. Okay, so Arjuna is not envious, selfish or hostile, and didn't see any fault in Krishna. Thus, he can understand Krishna. Okay, so it's a more confidential knowledge, and he'll be able to understand because he is envious of Krishna. Okay, so this is a sloka to memorize 9.14, 25, 26, 27, 29. Very important slokas. I have some network issue. Okay, very important slokas. So please start studying. Very, very important slokas. These are especially 9.24 Patram, 26 Patram Pushpam Phalangayam, 27 Yat Karoshi Yadasnasi. All these are very important slokas. So please start memorizing. So the importance of hearing is given here, right? Krishna says the knowledge of pure bhakti will come through hearing about Krishna. That's very important, to hear about Krishna. So as a devotee hear more and more about the Lord, what happens? The hearing process is also recommended in Krishna. When you start hearing, all the negatives in your heart just goes away. Shrinvata swakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridayandasta patrani vidunodi siddhal satam. When you start hearing about Krishna, what happens? all the abhadras will go away from your heart. So the Lord understands the mentality and sincerity of a particular living entity who's engaged in Krishna consciousness and gives him the intelligence to understand the science of Krishna in the association of devotees. Discussion of Krishna is very potent. So if we are fortunate to have such association, then Bhakti, spiritual realization will come. So first process is Shravana. We have to hear. And how should we hear? What are 3 types of hearing? Anyone knows? How should we hear? Yeah. What are the 3 types of hearing?
Hearing and implementing, hearing and preaching, and hearing and forgetting.
Yes. One is hearing through one ear and forgetting. Next is hearing through hearing and then just not realizing. And as Mataji said, the best is to hear and realize it. Hearing and taking it to the heart. Guru Sadhu Shastra is the source from which we hear. We can hear from Shastra, we can hear from Guru, we can hear from the sadhus or devotees. But the types of hearing is, first is just hearing through one ear and leaving. Just you're in the class, your body is in the class, your mind is somewhere. That's like first type of hearing. Second is you hear and you preach, but you don't apply it in your life or practice or implement. That's what most of us do. Third is you hear and you take it into your heart and start implementing it in your life. So that submissive hearing should come. Then only there is victory. So here for spiritual advancement, what should we do? We should start hearing about Krishna. And from whom? From Krishna or his representative. That's also important. From where you hear. Mayavadi Bhashi Shunile Hoya Sarvanash. If you hear from Mayavadi, you'll everything will get destroyed. So we should not hear from a Mayavadi. So we should hear only from a devotee. So okay, not by mental speculation or scholarship. You can't understand Krishna by that. Krishna is telling Arjuna more confidential matters to encourage Arjuna in higher and elevation of his potent service. So one who is situated in the most confidential knowledge is naturally in transcendental part, and no material miseries bind him. So such person is already liberated. Okay, he'll be in this material world, but then he's already a liberated person. So that is called as Jivan Muktasa Uchyate. That means somebody who's completely liberated. Okay, no material miseries bind him because he is in such a pure stage. So what are the qualifications to receive this knowledge? Anasuyave, he's not envious. Is the given here. Anasuyave means Arjuna was never envious of Krishna. Okay, he didn't see any fault in Krishna. Okay, so he understood. How do you define envy? What is the definition of envy? Envy means? How do you define envy? Nobody knows.
I like what you have, but I feel envy because I don't have that.
Jealous, Mataji.
I don't like that you have.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yes. So I like what you have, but I don't like that you have it. Like, for example, I have a nice pen. Now, I like that pen. Okay. And the second person likes this pen. But then that person doesn't like that I am having this pen. He can have, anybody else can have, but I should not have. That is called envy. In the sense, you're envious of that person of having it. You're not envious of the thing, what that person is having. You like that thing, but you don't like that person is having that thing. So that's called envy. So what happens? We start comparing, we start becoming envious, and then we can't advance in devotional life. Especially in spiritual life, envy should not come. Because then once envy comes, we can't advance in devotional service. We'll rather go down. So we should be happy that that person is serving Krishna. Might be that devotee have done devotional service in previous life. I have just started. It's okay. Now everyone have their own journey. So we should take inspiration from others and appreciate them. But instead, should not become envy. Otherwise, Krishna won't like it. Krishna doesn't like when Krishna forgave Shishupal because Shishupal was envious of Krishna. We are envious of Krishna's devotees. So that's why Krishna doesn't like it. Now we can be envious of Krishna. We can be angry with Krishna. We can say Krishna's enemy as Kamsa did. They all got moksha. Anything has to be done with Krishna, but not with his devotees. Krishna doesn't like that. So if we are non-envious, then Krishna reveals to us. So Anasuyave is a very important term here. There are And we can understand Krishna. Krishna is giving this knowledge to Arjuna that way. So, Anasuyave is a very important qualification here. Okay, so high academic scholars have given so many commentaries, but they are all envious of Krishna. Okay, but once Prabhupada went to one Gita Samadhi, some Samadhi it was in the sense some satsanga somewhere where it was like talking about Bhagavad Gita. They speak about Bhagavad Gita. So when Prabhupada went there was one book of Bhagavad Gita, but there was no picture of Krishna anywhere. Like Prabhupada's like, if any satsang, any samadhi is there, or association is there, at whoever is like Gita Samadhi means at least Krishna's picture should be there. Or if you have a material or political party, that leader's picture will be there, no, in that room. But Prabhupada's like, Krishna is the hero in Bhagavad Gita, and where is Krishna's picture? Because they don't interpret over Krishna. They just misinterpret all the verses of Gita. So that's why it's very important to have a Guru Parampara, receive this knowledge through Guru Parampara, right? So now Krishna says about the characteristics and knowledge of pure Bhakti. Raja Vidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idamut is the king of education, king of all secrets. It's purest of pure, Pavitra. Krishna's holy name, and Krishna is very pure. Krishna's Bhagavad Gita, anything associated with Krishna is pure. That's why when Mataji say that, oh, I can't read Bhagavad Gita, I can't chant during my periods, nothing like that. Why? Because nothing material can contaminate Krishna. Krishna is purest of all. Pavitram itam uttamam is the purest. You can never decrease his purity. So that's why Krishna's holy name can be chanted even in a bathroom. You can't take the beads there, but when chant said the Gopal is a small boy who said why Mahaprabhu was holding his tongue when he went to the bathroom, because the tongue was constantly chanting Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And the boy is like, why do you have to hold the tongue? You can chant even in the bathroom, right? It's not a problem. So because why? Krishna's holding him so pure. And Uttamam, it's transcendental. And Pratyaksha Vagamam, it gives you direct experience of the self. Dharmya means a service to the Lord. Susukam karta. Susukam means very easily performed. Why do you think Bhakti is called joyfully performed? Why Bhakti can be joyfully performed? Yes?
It's easy to perform.
It's not like those Ashtanga yoga where you have to put strain on our body or to. So.
But senses can be easily concentrated, focused on devotional service.
We feel happiness.
Yes, why Bhakti can be easily performed? So Sukam. Hare Krishna, can you all hear me?
Yes, it's easy to perform and gives us a lot of happiness, Mataji.
Easy to perform in the sense, how do you say it's easy?
It has no restrictions anywhere, anytime, anyway.
Anytime.
Yes, no
why it is.
restriction.
Yeah.
No restrictions then.
Mataji, senses
Mataji, we
are
can do it from wherever we are.
Yes. What about
But-
age group?
Anyone can do it.
Any
Everyone.
Yes, easy to do, and any age group, right? Anybody can do it. Even children can participate in the sense they can dance in the kirtan, clap in the kirtan, right? Have Krishna Prasadam.
And senses are withdrawn from material contamination, Mataji, material world.
And there is no particular qualification is not needed for that.
Yes, it can be joyfully performed by anybody at any time and any age group, right? So that's why it's called Susukam. But Bhakti is also difficult, no? At the same time. It's easy to perform, but why is it said difficult? Bhakti is difficult.
Consistency, Mataji. You have to be consistent in doing it.
Very good.
Material
Yes.
contamination, Mataji.
Contamination can happen. Good.
Difficult to
Yes.
concentrate.
And Yes, difficult to contemplate. Then
They may easily fall down because of Maya.
Material
okay, they can
material
fall
mode of
down.
natures.
Yes. So Bhakti
Material
is
modes of
joyfully
nature.
performed. Yes, Bhakti is
Complete
joyfully
faith.
can be performed, but envious people doesn't perform it. Not everyone performs it, right? There are non-devotees also. Why? Because pure devotional service is not easy. Level of surrenders, yes. And also pure devotional service. Like whatever we are doing is Jnana Mishrita Bhakti or Karma Mishrita Bhakti. Pure devotional service. To have Anya Abhilashita Shunyam, that's very difficult. Okay. Yeah, so it's rarely achieved. Yes, it's very rare. Sudurlabha. Sudurlabha. It is pure devotional services. Sudurlabha. So when you say bhakti means pure, there are different types of bhakti. There is sadhana bhakti, there is vaidhi sadhana bhakti, raganika bhakti, ragatmika bhakti, there is bhava bhakti and prema bhakti. So that we'll see in Nectar of Devotion in detail, different types of bhakti. What we sadhana bhakti, the guidance, spiritual master. When that bhakti increases and increases, go to the bhava stage, prema. So the prema bhakti is very difficult. When you say bhakti, it can be of different types, no? So in that way, prema bhakti is difficult. Bhava bhakti is easy, but then prema bhakti, to have anya abhilashita shunyam, no other desire except to serve Krishna. That's very difficult. That's why it's called, it's easy at the same time difficult. Avyayam, everlasting and eternal. So pure bhakti is beyond the three modes, and bhakti is so joyfully performed. Some people cannot take it. They can't do pure devotional service to Krishna. Okay, so it is Uttama, it's the best. It's Raja Vidya because the king of education. Nothing is above this knowledge. If you get bhakti, then everything else. Vasudeve Bhagavadi Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Jnanam Jnanadi Asuvairagyam Jnanam Yat Brahma Darshanam. When you do Bhakti Yoga to Vasudeva Krishna, what happens? Janadi Asuvairagyam, you get detachment, and Jnanam Brahma happen. Essence, Raja. And Raja is the most confidential knowledge, right? Because it shows us, it teaches us how to go back home, back to God. It's very confidential knowledge to explain the spirit is in. And modern education doesn't deal with all this. So it's Pavitram Itabuttamam. Pavitram is very pure, purest of all activities. So for those who are engaged in devotional service, all sinful reaction, whether fructified in stalk or from the seed, gradually vanish. This from Padma Purana. Aprarabdha phalam papam bhutam bijan palomukam kramenaiva praliyate Vishnu bhaktiradakmanam. Aprarabdha, like there are different reaction, no? Prarabdha stage, aprarabdha stage. It's like a phalam. There can be papam, can be puta, bija, different stages are there. Everything gets destroyed by bhakti. Okay, so bhakti is very important. So also it is said, Yesham to antakatam papam janana punya karmanam vedanda bohanir muktam bhajante mam dridavritaha. Okay, so it's Uttamam, it's beyond all material activities. Devotional service is never contaminated by three modes. And Pratiksha Vagamam, it's direct perception of manifestation. Okay, we'll be by practicing our devotional service in the association of devotees. When we're chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra without offense, then further we can advance. So advancement is so visible. Devotional service is very powerful. Simply by engaging, one become enlightened, right? Like Narad Muni, how he was a son of the maid servant, and he, by the association of Bhakti Vedantas, he became Narad Muni. It's dharma is the highest goal of all the scriptures. It said, does anyone, okay, anybody read the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam? So the first chapter, first canto of Bhagavatam says the 6 questions by the sages. What are the 6 questions the sages in Naimisharanya asked Sudha Goswami?
Mataji, first question was,
No,
what is the absolute good for the people in general? Second is essence.
Yes, what is the absolute good for the whole man?
Essence of all
Can-
the scriptures. Then
Good, very nice.
third
Essence of all
was
the.
why Krishna appeared on this planet.
Yes,
Fourth
why
was-
Krishna appeared as the son of
and
Devaki and
fourth was his
Vasudeva.
Leela or pastimes.
Leela avatar or the pastimes, Guna avatar.
Fifth
What are the
was
6th question?
yeah, the fifth was why they describe the other incarnations of Lord Krishna. And
Yes,
last was what will happen to religion when Krishna leaves this universe.
Very nice. Very nice, Dinesh Prabhu. Very, very good. Excellent. So this is how you should read Bhagavatam. So the last question by the sages was, Sudha Goswami was, where did Dharma reside once Krishna ended his pastimes and went? So the answer is Dharma resided in Bhagavatam. So because it says, Savai Pumsa Paro Dharmo Yado Bhaktir Adokshiche. So Dharma resided in the Bhagavatam. So that means Bhagavatam Dharma Prochita Kaidava. Bhagavatam. So in Bhagavatam it is said that when Krishna ended his pastime and went to his abode, Dharma resided in Bhagavatam. So whoever reads Bhagavatam, that's what Dharma is, Dharmyam. That's a perfect religion of highest goal of all religion. Second sloka of Bhagavatam also says, the first canto, the first chapter, it also says, Dharma prochita kaidavo atra paramo nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastavam atra vastu shivatam tapatrayun molanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite kim va parairishvare sadhyo hridi avar prakriti shushudita those are not and understand knowledge of them, which Dharma in this Bhagavad. These are the actually Bhagavatam, the 12 cantos is rotating around these 6 questions by the sages of Naimisharanya. So 6 questions are explained in cantos, and the whole Bhagavatam is summarized in 6 questions by the sages. That's the first chapter. You should know what are the 6 questions, and then Shri Goswami gives the answer for all these questions later on. So here it is said, how much of our Vedeshu Yajnashu Tapassu Sheva, how much of our Yajna, everything we did, everything, just the benefit is obtained just by doing devotional service. So devotional service is so strong. We should not think it as a burden or, sometimes you say I have to get up early in the morning in Brahma Muhurta, I have to chant and that this. Actually, we are so fortunate to do devotional service because so much karma gets crushed and our Krishna is speeding our process back home, back to Godhead. Simply by associating with great acharyas, Acharyavan Purusho Veda, then no need of studying the Vedas. We can go back to Krishna. And it's Susukam, very happily done. Right, Prabhupada's right. Someone can simply hear the chanting, attend the lectures. Simply by sitting, we can learn about Krishna. So great sage like Sanat Kumara became great devotees by offering, smelling the tulsi leaves, right? So devotional service is very easy to perform. Even poor person also can do bhakti by offering Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam. So 9.3 says the faithless person cannot attain Krishna. So Prabhupada has given a nice purport for 9.2. Please read 9.2. Ashadhana Purusha Dharmasya Parantapa Aprapyamam Nivartande Mrityu Samsara Vartmani. Those who are not faithful in the service cannot therefore they return to the path of not faithful. The only thing required in bhakti is, and based on there are different types of devotees, but then it's very important. Those who are not faithful will not get Krishna. So real faith means the complete conviction that simply by serving Krishna, one can achieve all perfection. That is real faith. Such faith is created by association of devotees, right? So what are the different types of devotees based on faith? Anybody knows the different types of devotees based on faith? Mataji, we'll just share the attendance link later on because many just come, fill up the attendance sheet, and they move out of the class. So we started with 16, now it's only 14. So they just come for attendance, and we are not interested in such devotees. So the attendance sheet,
Okay,
say,
Mataji.
okay, I will say whenever, because
Yes.
they just they feel go. I've noted it from 2-3 classes it's happening. That's the right attitude for devotees to do. So I know I'm late because of the temple program. This month at least we should be like 8 o'clock. Okay, yes, who is this? Sachidan Prabhu. Yes, Kanishta, Madhyama and Uttama. Very nice. Yes. So these are the 3 classes of people based on faith. Kanishta means neophytes. What are the 4 types of Kanishta devotees? 4 types of Kanishtas. Nobody remembers?
Speaking well,
We studied the 7.
discuss
Huh?
this Artho Arthati Vignan.
Very nice. Good. Yes, Artho, Artharthi, Jnani and Jignasu. These are the Kanishtas. Now, Kanishtas have low faith. Okay, this is the 3rd level, and they will easily fall down, and they may be officially engaged in devotional service, but cannot achieve the highest perfectional stage. Okay, and the second is Madhyama. Madhyama, not very advanced in scripts, but simply to follow by association and simplicity. Scriptures and no chance of down, like Srila Prabhupada. So it's like Uttamadhikari. So faith is very important. Development of faith is a process of Krishna consciousness. Why are we practicing devotional service? Why are we studying scriptures? So as to have faith in Krishna, more and more faith, right? So in Chaitanya Charitamrita also says that, like we are watering the root of the tree. So then all the perfection is achieved. So faithless person find this path very difficult because they hear about Krishna pastimes and they start doubting. Can that happen? Can Krishna lift Govardhan Hill? Because they have no faith in Krishna. They think Krishna is like one of them. So even after hearing Krishna and the excellence of devotional service, they think it's just an eulogy. That means it's just a fake or thing. And if supposedly engaged in devotional service, their faith is very less. Such people cannot go back home, back to Godhead. And after that, they give up all engagement. But what should we do? We should engage in devotional service of the Lord with faith. 4 to 10 is about Aishwarya Jnana, Krishna's relationship with this world. So how Krishna maintains the material world by Krishna's energy. That's what 4 to 6 sloka says. Okay, so it's about the Aishwarya Jnana. Mayatadam idam sarvam jat abhyaktapunaha matstani sarvabhutani nachaham teshavastitaha. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings in me, but I'm not in them. Okay, so the Lord says that it's out of his energy, the whole universe has been created. That's what he says. Krishna pervade in everything. Okay, as his energy. Krishna is present everywhere, right? Bhumi Rapona Lavai, everything is Krishna's energy. So Krishna is everywhere in his energy. Like, for example, the king doesn't have to go to different places. Like the prime minister, the president doesn't have to go to every state. They have their chief ministers, they have their own finance department, sports ministers, right? The prime minister or the president doesn't have to go personally, but his energy is there, his influence is there, right? Similarly, Krishna don't have to personally present everywhere, his energy is already pervading. So he's even though he's present by his personal representation, different energies are there. Like as super soul, as Paramatma, he's in our heart, and Krishna is in every atom also, right? So Krishna controls, and the whole universe is pervaded by him. So everything is situated in Krishna, but they are not situated in Krishna. Everything is situated in Krishna, but Krishna is also there in everyone, but he's aloof from there. He is not attached. He's completely aloof and independent of everything. Apitnya Swarat. Krishna is Swarat. He's independent. He's not attached. Even though he's in a heart as Paramatma, Krishna is not bound by Sattva, Rajas, Tamo. Krishna is not responsible for your karma. You had decided, we have misused our minute independence. So we can't blame Krishna for our suffering, right? We ourselves are responsible. So it is said here that Krishna is explaining the Achintya Peta Tattvam, that is inconceivable oneness and difference of his relationship with the material world. He gives the Aishwarya Jnana, that is knowledge of his opulences. Because of his unique supreme position in relation with material creation, Lord Krishna is the supreme object of worship. So he's all pervading. Lord pervades the entire universe. and Avyakta Murtina in his unmanifested form. We cannot see him, right? Adha Shri Krishna Namadi Naba Vetrahim Indriya Seven Mukhi Jikvado Swayameva. Not Krishna's name, fame, glories and pastimes. Nama Rupa Gunalila. What should we do? We should start chanting the holy name or engage our senses in Krishna service. Then Swayam Eva Spuratida, Krishna reveals to you. Okay. So how can we see Krishna? Premanjana Chidika Bhakti Vilochana. So we should have the ointment of love to see Krishna. So Govinda. So Premanjana Chidika Bhakti Vilochana. So we can see Krishna only by your love. So Krishna says, all things are in me, I am not in them. Okay, so what do you mean by that? Krishna is aloof, independent.
Mataji, about sun and its sunshine.
Yes, Prabhu.
The sun is not present everywhere, but sunshine is present everywhere.
Very nice. Yes. So that's analogy Prabhupada mentions here about the sunshine analogy. Yes. And so similarly, Krishna is there everywhere. But the thing is, he is aloof and independent. Okay. So everything rests in Krishna. All beings are in me. Entire manifestation, cosmic manifestation about Krishna's energy, right? Like the sunshine is spread everywhere. All the universe are resting on the sunshine. So Krishna says, I am not in them, in the sense Krishna is aloof. Krishna is all pervading and he doesn't lose his personal existence. Like the head of the department, right? His energy is present in all the departments. He personally don't have to go there because Ekam Shinastido Jagat, Krishna, by one portion, he's maintaining the whole universe. So everything rests in Krishna. So the example given is about the sunlight, the analogy. Krishna is aloof and independent. This is what we should know. Completely aloof and independent. Even though he's as Paramatma in our heart, Paramatma will start guiding you when you become pure devotee. When you start surrendering to Krishna, Krishna start guiding you. But till then, he'll be like a remaining silent, like a witness. Okay, so he's aloof and independent. So in the fifth sloka says, Krishna nacha matstani bhutani pashyemi yogamaishwaram Bhuda Brinnacha Bhutasto Mamatma Bhuda Bhavanaha. And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities and although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation. For myself is the very source of creation. Right? So Krishna is not in everything means he is everything that is created doesn't rest in Krishna, or means Krishna is aloof. Okay. Although he maintains everyone, that is Bhuta breath. He's not part of this creation. For myself is the very source of creation. Yoga Maishwara means it's inconceivable. How can Krishna be inside us? Still, no, that's that Ishopanishad verse 5 says, Krishna walks, doesn't walk, Krishna is inside, Krishna is outside, he's far, he's near, like that. It's inconceivable. Okay. So Krishna says everything is resting in him. He's the maintainer, sustainer, everything. And now Krishna is saying the opposite, that I'm not in them, or he's contradicting himself, right? But it's not like that. It is saying that Krishna is aloof and independent. Okay. So his inconceivable energy, in the sense he personally may not be there, his energy will maintain us, the universes, and he stays aloof. Okay. For instance, the planets are floating in the space. The space is also Supreme Lord's energy, but he is different from space, right? His energy is there. Ultimately, the continued existence and functioning of all moving and non-moving entities depends on Krishna's will. Krishna gives an example in the next verse, like the wind. Okay, and the wind example is given in the next one. So this is called Yoga Maishwara, about Krishna's inconceivable mystic opulences. Okay, so like planetary system are floating in the space. The space is the energy of the Lord, but the Lord is different from it. Okay, so that is the glory of Krishna's inconceivable potency. So next example is given about the wind. Yada kasha stito nityam vayu satrago mahan tada sarvani bhudani mastani ti adharaya. Understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky, all created beings rest in me. So wind is blowing everywhere, right? And it rests always in the sky. All created beings are in Krishna. Like sky is the biggest manifestation. In that sky, wind is the biggest to conceive. But wind is great. influence all the movements. But wind is never beyond the sky. It's always subordinate to the sky. Okay, so that's what Lord is compared to the sky. Still, the Lord is aloof and unaffected, just as the sky is aloof and not affected by the movement of wind. How much of a wind moves, the sky is not affected. No, so that's how Krishna is. So whatever happens, Krishna is never affected. This material world is created, maintained for some time, and annihilated by the Lord. The above verse describes how maintenance of the world takes place by Krishna's will. Okay, so it's Krishna's will, sweet will. Yet Vishwa Vata Pavate. It is said out of fear of the Supreme Lord, the wind is blowing, the sun is rising. No, like that. So by the Supreme Lord's Lord, orders of the Lord, everything is moving in this material world. So Krishna gives the analogy to explain Yogamaishwaram, how Krishna maintains, still he remains unaffected. Okay. Yachakshuresha Savita Sakalagrahanam Raja Samasta Suramurti Rashesha Teja Yasyatmaya Brahmati Sambramakala Chakro Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. The eyes of the Lord is the sun and the moon. It is said the sun is considered to be the eyes of the Lord, and it has immense potency to diffuse heat and light. Still, it is moving in its prescribed orbit, right, by the order of the Lord. So it's by the order of the Lord, because even a blade of grass doesn't move. Sanction. Everything is happening is because of Krishna's sanction. Why Krishna is sanctioning bad things? It's because of the soul's desire. So much we have desired. Krishna is sanctioning that. 7 to 8 says about the creation and destruction of the material world by Krishna. So Krishna creates, maintains, and destroys it. Sarva Bhutani Kauteya Prakritim Nyanti Mamikam Kalpakshaye Punastani Kalpada Vishrajamyaham was Son of Kunti. At the end of millennium, all the material manifestations enter into my nature, and at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. Okay, so Krishna only makes it, maintains it, and destroys it. So creation and destruction of the material world is by Krishna's energy. At the time of destruction, at the end of Brahma's life, all beings enter into Krishna's energy. And then again he creates. Under Krishna's will, under his energy, the cosmic order is again and again. Puna Puna. And then it's created and destroyed. Okay. So we'll go to here. If Krishna is Parameshwar or aloof, how does material world continue? That means because of supreme will. Because supreme will is always present. Everything is definitely under supreme will of the Lord. Because he enters as 3 Vishnus, form of Mahatattva to create. Okay, so the Garbhadasha Vishnu, okay, which Vishnu is as Paramatma in our heart?
Nirodhakasai Vishnu.
Nirodhakasai Vishnu Mataji.
Vishnu is lying in the ocean, and from whose navel the 14 planets.
Garbhodakasai.
And which Vishnu is responsible for the creation of the universes?
Karanodakasai.
Karanodakasai Vishnu.
Mahavishnu.
Mahavishnu Mataji.
Karanodakasai Vishnu is also called as Mahavishnu. Okay, so like this, there are 3 Vishnus who are responsible for the 3 Vishnu forms in the Mahatattva to create, and then Krishna is not directly involved here. That's why, because Vishnu is also so this is directly and indirectly, automatically manifested Krishna is. And so attachment, Krishna is aloof. Even though he creates the material world, he is aloof from it. Creation takes place to accommodate inclinations or desire of various living entities. 9.9 says neutrality towards material activities. Material activities, the work cannot bind Krishna. So Krishna came as a Kshatriya, in the sense Vasudeva's son as Vasudeva. That doesn't mean Krishna is a Kshatriya. Krishna started grazing the cows. That doesn't mean he's a Vaishya, right? Nacha mamtani karmani nibaddhana dhananjaya udasina vadasinam asaktam tej karmasu. O Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. I'm never detached. I'm ever detached from all these material activities, seated as though neutral. So Krishna looks like working, but just karyam karanam chaviti. There's nothing for the Lord to do. Everything is done by his energy. Even though Krishna looks like he's working, but the work doesn't bind Krishna. So, but for us, what happens? Work will bind us. So it implies that the Lord is not directly responsible for all good and evil done in this world. Implies the Lord is as neutral. Lord is always neutral in his material activities in created world. Activities carried out by different potencies of the Lord. Still, he has control over the minute details. Like the High Court judge, he gives so many decisions. He might hang somebody to death. He might give a penalty to someone. He might even forgive someone and leave him. Right? But he's neutral. He's unaffected by the gain or loss. No, he is just doing his dharma duty. So Prabhupada quotes here by the Vedanta Sutra saying that Vaishamya Naigrinyena, meaning Lord is transcendent to all material dualities. Does that mean the Lord has no engagement? No. Atma Ramasya Tasyati. He is always involved. Eternal, blissful, spiritual activities, but he has nothing to do with material activities. Whatever Krishna is doing is spiritual. Right? No work can bind Krishna. Bondage arises from desire and attachment to action and its results. Because all of the Krishna's desires are automatically fulfilled, he need not act, and thus there is no bondage. So here, how the Prakriti works, this is a very important sloka. Krishna says, Maya Dikshena Prakriti Suyate Sar Charachara Hetunanena Kaundeya Jagat Viparivartate. Maya Dikshena Prakriti. This material nature is Krishna's energy, Maya Dikshena, and it's working under my direction, it's working under Krishna's direction. Maya Dikshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharachara. O Safna Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, the manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So, under Krishna's rule, the material world is created. So, without the superintendence of the Supreme Personality Godhead, material nature cannot do anything. Lord is neutral and aloof, right? The Lord is a father and mother, it says. Sarva yonishu kaundeya murtaya sambhavandiya tasham brahma mahadyunit aham bija pratapita. So Krishna is the father. Krishna is the seed giving father. Right? So he is our supreme. And under his control, the whole material nature is moving. So it should be understood that all species of life are made in birth by the Lord. He is the seed giving father. Based on our past karma, that's deeds. Material nature gives the body, Krishna is the one who sanctions it. Okay, this is a very important example of a flower with the fragrance. So this is Bhakti Shastri. So when you go down the purport, you can see this, okay, about a flower. So Prabhupada quotes, fragrance of a flower touched by a smelling power of a person. The smelling and the flower is detached. Similar connection is there between the material world and the Supreme Personality of God. So there is a flower and fragrance, but the fragrance is different, the smelling person is different. Now, similarly, the Lord and the material world is different. Okay, so we'll have a small breakout room. Explain in your own words Krishna's relationship with the material world with reference to Sanskrit terms. Prabhupada's purpose and analogy is 9.4 to 10. Just 5 minutes and then we'll close. Okay, so your question is, you have to explain in your own words Krishna's relationship with the material world. You have to refer through 9.4 to 10. You have to take the analogies also. Post in the group. Please copy this question so that when you go to the breakout room, you can put in the chat. Hare Krishna, Neeraj Mataji, I'll add you to some breakout room. Hare Krishna. Hope everyone have discussed. Okay. So who's speaking from room number 1? Yes. Yes, Charu Mataji, you can speak.
Hare Krishna Mataji. We had a good discussion. Actually, from verse 4 to in chapter from verse 4 to 10, Krishna do substantiate that Krishna is maintaining the world. By in 4th verse and 5th verse, Krishna states that Machstani Sarva Bhutani, like everything is resting on me. All beings, all entities are resting on me. But Krishna is not there in anybody. So Krishna gives an analogy of, and Prabhupada gives an analogy of the king and the government. Though the different government department comes within the king's purview, it's all because of the king's energy. Because of the kings has taken the position, there are so many governments. So it is something like that. And similarly, Krishna is also like Yoga Ishwaryam. Because of his Yoga Ishwaryam, of his mystic, inconceivable power, he is able to do so many things. Like simply by his Krishna's will, he can create, he can maintain, he can annihilate, and everything is done by Krishna. Yet at the same time, there is an Prabhupada also gives an there is also an analogy where the just like the way the mighty wind is blowing, so even though the wind is sustained in the sky, it keeps moving. Similarly, everything is resting on Krishna, and the other living entities are moving. Even there is a verse in Brahma Samhita which states that only because of the fear of Supreme Personality of Godhead, even the moon, sun, and the other planets are moving. So everything is working under the direction of Supreme Lord. And in verse 9.7, Krishna says that he is Kalpa Kshaye and Kalpadau. At the beginning of every millennium and even at the end of every millennium, everything rest on Krishna. So at the end of millennium, every living entity rests on Krishna in the form of Mahavishnu, and during the beginning of the millennium, they come out, and based on their guna and karma, they take a new birth. And in verse 8, it also says that Visrajami Punah Punaha. It's like every time Krishna is responsible for creation of this millennium again and again. And it is because of Krishna's will, this universe is getting annihilated. And in verse 9, Krishna also says that Udasinavat, though Krishna does so many things, creation, maintenance, and annihilation, he is detached from all the material activities, and he remains as a neutral. For this, Prabhupada gives an analogy of that as an high court judge. Though high court judge gives so many verdicts, he is never affected by the verdict. And in verse 10, Krishna says about Maya Dakshena Prakritihi, like he is the seed-giving father. So just like a father gives the seed and then the womb is created, similarly, every living entity, Krishna is the father, and yet Krishna remains unaffected. Just like the way, if we go around near to the fragrant flower, the fragrance is not being touched. So similarly, Supreme Personality remains unaffected. This is what we discussed, Mataji.
Okay, very, very nice, nicely detailed description. Okay, so what about room number 2? Who's going to speak?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yeah, we had very good discussion. We shared few things. So I collected the Sanskrit terms, and Dinesh Prabhuji and Priyadarshini Mataji collected the analogies. So we will split and we will tell Mataji. So in the 9.4, Avyakta Murtina, Krishna is described as Avyakta Murtina. That means although he is present everywhere, it is not considerable for our material senses to see him. And then it's also explained as Vistabhyaham Idam Krishtam. So he is everywhere present by his personal representation, the diffusion of his different energies. And then in the next shloka 9.5, Krishna is described as Matsthani Sarva Bhutan. Everything is resting on Krishna. And then Yogam Aishwaryam, the mystic power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then in 9.6, the terminology used is Yadbisha Vata Pavate. Out of fear of Supreme Lord, the wind is blowing. And there is another sentence in the purport. Tasya va aksharasya prashasena gargi surya chandramasau vidratau tishtati etasya va aksharasya prashasne gargi dva aprativayu vidratau tishtataha. So Prabhupada is explaining in the purport as under the superintendence of Supreme Personality of Godhead, the moon, the sun and other great planets are moving. And then Atma Ramasya Tashyati Prakritya na Samagamaha. Krishna is always involved in his eternal blissful spiritual activity, but he has nothing to do with this material activities. And in 9.10, Aham Bija Prajapita is mentioned in the purport, that is, I am seed giving father. And another terminology used is Vaishamya Nairgranyena. Krishna is not in the duality of this material world. Hare Krishna. Dinesh Prabhuji, do you like to add analogies?
Hare Krishna Mataji. In fact, Charu Mataji has already explained 5 or 6 analogies given in these purports by Srila Prabhupada. Fragrance of the flower and the person who is smelling the fragrance. That means even if fragrance, flower is not present within the view of the person, he can still smell the fragrance of the flower. That is Krishna's, he is presented everywhere, but he is not there. That means he pervades everything, but he is not in them. Similarly, the analogy of sun is given. The sun is not present everywhere, but it is present through its sunshine all over the planet. Then about the Udasin Vrata, the analogy of judge has been given, and the king also. Judge is giving judgment and giving punishment to different culprits and sinners, but he is not, in fact, directly concerned with the person himself, but it is on account of his acts. Similarly, the king rules through his system all over his land, but he is not present everywhere. An example of analogy of wind and sky has already been explained by Charu Mataji. And yes, about the flower is not visible. He is invisible, and he is source of all, but he is not. All are situated in him, and yet he is not visible, invisible to all. He is visible only to pure devotees involved in his devotional service. Material eyes cannot see him. So, and lastly, that then everything is running through the control of his will, but he is not present everywhere to do it. So entire cosmic creation is having a disciplined movement and activities. That means that Krishna is not acting or he is inactive. It is not true. He is not involved in material activities. He is busy, always busy with his spiritual pastimes in Goloka Vrindavan. So that is what is mentioned in the last one. Hare Krishna. Priyadarshini Mataji would like to add something.
Who has to speak, Prabhu, now?
I don't know, but Priyadarshini Mataji would like to add something.
Hare Krishna, Priyadarshini Mataji.
Yeah, I was not able to unmute Mataji. That's my problem. Yeah. No, the reason why everything happens under his will is his mind and himself, they are not different. That I just wanted to add. The rest of it, sir, Prabhuji has covered, and even Sridevi Mataji has covered. Charu Mataji has covered beautifully well. I think nothing that I would have. Right. Yes, Mataji. Sir. Yes, Mataji.
Okay. What about the third batch? Third breakout room? Deval Mataji, Kishore Prabhu, Neeraja Mataji, Sachinanda Prabhu, and Sudhaman. Yes. Oh, you all can't unmute. Oh, sorry. Okay, you can unmute, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Most of the points already they have discussed, but still the gist what we have taken out from this discussion, I will point out that Krishna's energy is all pervading, like a sunshine or king's presence in a government. Then he is the source of the creation, but he is the source of creation, but he is aloof. Everything resides upon him. Wind cannot be above the sky. Energy of the Lord cannot be above him. So material manifestation is under complete control of the Supreme Lord. He is the creator and destroyer as well. And beginning of each millennium, he creates them again. He creates a cosmic world in the beginning. And everything happens by his will. Even a blade of grass is not moving without his interference. He is detached from all material activities. He is neutral. He is seed-giving father, but he is not attached with the material creation like fragrance of flower and smelling power of the person. These are the some points we noted. And Deval Mataji, if you want to add something, some points, you can add.
Hi, Krishna.
Deval Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Prabhu, I think you covered all the points. Hare Krishna. And that he's neutral. He's Udasinavat. That is what I wanted to add. That the Supreme Lord is neutral. He is not attached to the material creation.
So his relationship with the material world. Okay, yes, I think you used the Sanskrit words. You have said the analogies proper. Good. So now the breakout room is improving. Before it was like somewhere here and there around the bush, but now everybody have used nice analogies. Now this is how you answer the question, even if it comes in open book. These are all open book questions coming as breakout room things. So you have to tell the Sanskrit terms. You're supposed to take from the purpose of Prabhupada and the analogies. And extra points are given if you take reference from other Shastras, like you have quoted from Brahma Samhita and Padma Puran. So you can, like that, you can quote extra. Yes, extra, but then this has to be covered, okay? And in your own words, you have to explain Krishna's relationship with the material world. Okay. So we have covered 9.1 to 10 today. I hope next week we'll give the results of open book assessment, okay? I hope all of you have submitted it. Another batch is not submitted, so I'm just waiting to close for them so that we can all correct it. Okay, so these slokas have to be memorized 9.2, 4, 14, 25, 26, 27, and 29. So this time, second module, it's going to be like all the slokas have to be memorized and a video recording has to be done and sent. I think there are 14 slokas in module 2 total from chapter 7 to 12. So please start preparing now itself. Okay. So that is easy for you. What one devotee is doing is she wrote every slokas, the 14 slokas to be memorized from module 2 in a sheet of paper. And every day Brahma Muhurta she chants it. When it's my personal experience. If you want to learn any slokas, let it be the most difficult sloka, which I think is the first 2 slokas of Srimad Bhagavatam. Janmadya Sayada and Dharma Prochita Kaita. It's a little difficult, but then every day you have a notebook or a paper written there. So before you sit for chanting your japa, you just go through, just read it once in Brahma Muhurta. Any sloka read in Brahma Muhurta, I guarantee you in 1 week you'll learn it. Not even 1 week, in few days, you just grab it like anything. Because Brahma Muhurta, your brain is so fresh, there's no one to disturb. And you just completely immerse in that sloka. Just read once. keep doing it every day consistently, then you can learn the slokas very easily. Some of you have difficulty in sloka, I could know from last, some are very good at slokas, but some are find it difficult. Put a lot of effort in it, and you will do it, okay? 9th chapter is very important sloka. It's Bhakti Yoga in advanced stage, more confidential knowledge. Okay, any questions, any discussion, any comments, or can we end? Sorry for the delay. It's like the temple program was late, so I had to delay it. At least this Purushottam month, we'll just go like this. Yes, Mataji.
Mataji, Hare Krishna, Mataji. It's just a general question, Mataji. Like we offer food to Krishna through Guru, no, Mataji. Like when we take it back, also it comes through Guru only, no?
Yes, yes.
So
but
why
when
don't
you offer it goes to Guru and
yeah, and it is along with Krishna Prasad. It is the remnants of Guru also, no?
Yeah, definitely. See, after Krishna accept it, when you are about to take the bow, you offer it to Guru. So Guru will have only after Krishna has it. So yes, Guru will, Krishna will have, Guru also will have. So it will become Mahaprasad for you when it comes. Yes.
And okay. And what about demigods, Mataji?
We don't offer them directly, but definitely they also takes the remnants of Krishna. So it's like because they are part and parcel of Krishna's body. No, when you are watering the root of the tree, you should not ask whether the fruits got the water or the leaves. You've already watered the roots, so definitely you're giving Krishna. Definitely, all the demigods are also satisfied. You don't have to personally water the leaf and the flower. No, automatically satisfied. So everyone gets pleased when Krishna is satisfied. And then you're taking the Mahaprasad. That's what, like when Jagannath is offered the food, it goes to Bimla Devi, that's Mother Parvati, then it becomes Mahaprasad. That's in Puri, Jagannath Puri, they do that. But at home, you don't have to personally offer, you directly offer to Krishna. Then it's like everyone has satisfied.
Mataji, have you by-hearted all the Srimad Bhagavatam shlokas also?
Not all. Some slokas are very nice to preach and for your personal application. When you keep listening to classes, especially in Amanishta Prabhu's class, Prabhu quotes very nice slokas. You just go and go through the Veda ways and note the sloka and write it down. Then you learn. So it will help your personal devotional service as well as for preaching. So, and when you hear some lectures, you find some sloka which is very nice, no? Then you just try to write. First we should start liking the slokas. Some people are like, oh, slokas, only philosophy they're good at. But slokas will help you when you start preaching. Actually, it's a preaching application because when you quote from Shastras, people can't deny it. You have to accept it. So Prabhupada says, when you want to be a nice preacher, you should know 30 slokas from Bhagavad Gita, 30. So we can analyze, do I know 30 slokas from Bhagavad Gita? So by the end of Bhakti Shastri course, you will learn. Okay.
Yeah. Very nice.
Take this as an opportunity to learn. Yeah. This is the best way. The ways to learn sloka is first write it down. Hear the sloka. Hear somebody chanting the sloka repeatedly to get the pronunciation correct. Then you yourself repeat it every day. You do it at Brahma Muhurta. Very easy to learn, Mataji. Okay.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Shridev Mataji. Vancha Kalpadru, Krishna Kripasin Peja. Tatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namanam Manukodi Vaishnava Jai Shri Prabhupada ki